Hey everyone, the lighting collector here, and what you're looking at today is a quite uncommon, or rare rather, Westinghouse OV-60 or HMA-60. There's two names they gave these for some reason. I think it started out as the OV-60 and then they released the OV-35 for coated lamps in the mid-50s, mid to late, and then they renamed this the HMA-60, I guess, which I assume means like high million. I don't know what that really standed for, but we're gonna just call it the OV-60 right now for ease of understanding. And this is, like I said, really uncommon. This is the first ever 1000 watt mercury vapor designed fixture, as Westinghouse invented all of the designed or proprietary mercury vapor fixtures that we all know as clamshells. This was the 1000 watt version, well, 700 or 1000, and it is a big boy. Considering that this is remote ballasted, it pretty much is the size of a lot of medium-sized Cobra heads, like the Westinghouse OV-25 two-door or the GE M400R3, for example. So it's pretty big. This is it's nearly all glass, as you can see, and the glass itself is quite cool. It's very unique. It's kind of like this. It's textured on the outside. It's like almost a stippled or pebble kind of texture on the front part, and then on the back it has this little ribbed design to kind of help control the light. And what's interesting about these is they have a street side socket, which was really uncommon for the time. The only other fixture of this era, I guess two other fixtures I can think of from this era that had that, were the 4109 and the first generation Ovalite that we call the shark fin. So it's got your typical Westinghouse attributes, and it does indeed look quite a bit like the OV-20. The OV-35 was a complete departure from the design language of the lineup, so it actually had the OV-50 lens, but this was more of a big OV-20, and it's even got the same latch. And just like the OV-20, it has this little Westinghouse made in USA embossment right here on the top, which is really neat. They did that. It is meant for a 2-inch pipe normally, but since it's a U-bolt slip fitter, it does fit on the 1.25-inch arm. And what's cool is it has a little access panel for the wiring, but because this was a parking lot fixture that I was able to rescue before crews destroyed it, it had been modified quite a bit. And you'll see when I open it up that it doesn't have the original socket. The terminal block is gone, but despite all that, it still is in relatively good shape. A little bit of a reflector damage, but that's okay. So go ahead and jump on over here. As you can see, there's the street side socket, and it would have been a exposed thread socket, not this ceramic socket or porcelain, of course, but they did a decent job putting it in a nice manner, at least. I've seen a lot worse replacement socket jobs than this. They did put all the wiring, you know, up there and whatnot, and the reflector has a big dent right here. It's not as bad. The other one was worse because somebody had stuffed a 400 watt metal halide ballast in this part of the fixture, because it will fit if you dent the reflector. This one, I think, was also 400 watt metal halide. I can't remember the bulb that came in it, but it was, or it was 1000 with a little reduced jacket, and I think this one might have still had the pole base ballast. I don't know. But as you can see, there's a nice, proper, clear 1000 watt lamp in here. It is unfortunately General Electric, but I had a Lifeguard in clear, and that one came with off eBay with a little crack on the neck of the glass, and it eventually did break. It wouldn't have even held in this scenario. It would have broken, unfortunately. So here's the lens again. It is smooth on the inside, and it's unbelievably thick glass. I mean, good grief. This stuff is thick and heavy. But yeah, it's in relatively good shape overall. It's not too bad. The reflector's really cool, the way they designed it. And this thing throws some serious light. It's pretty much, it rivals the Cobra heads of the time, or later on, in terms of like light distribution. Usually the Cobra heads are an improvement, but this is actually really good for its time. And what we're running, or what I'm running it on here, is the little arm that Ovalite I have came on, but I didn't get a ballast with it. I'm borrowing a friend's. I'll link his channel in my description. He also collects lighting and other things, but it's one of these advanced ballast cans, and unfortunately they often were sold without the pole mount, which is annoying, so it has to just sit here on the ground like this. But it is indeed for 1000 watt mercury vapor. H36, although I wish it was H34 because I actually have a clear H34 lamp. I just don't have any kind of hardware to ever run that, and it's really hard to find. Unless I buy like a Japanese ballast, which actually may not be a bad idea. Because their 1000 watt stuff was all H34 up until recently when I quit making them. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and fire this thing up. I guess I'll leave the door open for that process because that's cool to watch. Alright, so going ahead and firing up. There we go. Grab the camera then and show you the big fat arc tube there. Look at that. These were still pretty decent quality lamps for the time. They were like a step below Sylvania and Philips, and of course but these were not that bad, and the clear ones, at least with the Hungarian era, also weren't that bad. I remember growing up, a lot of the stuff in downtown had these lamps, also the coated ones, and they were alright. I mean, I find it funny to put a GE in a Westinghouse, but I wanted to do clear, and we have a Westinghouse coated and some Philips, but clear is cooler. So I really like the Fixture's outline, and it's interesting that they chose to make it tilted optics like this. But this was really designed for parking lots more than anything, I think. Now, they did use them on highways. In fact, locally they did, on specifically one highway that used to be a tollway. It's Interstate 30. And there are a bunch of old photos of that freeway with these at the toll plazas on both ends, the Dallas side and the Fort Worth side. But obviously none exist because in 1977 they actually paid off the road and it turned into an interstate instead, which is probably the only time that that has ever happened in the history of this country. It's very uncommon for a toll road to genuinely pay itself off and be satisfied with that and stop being a toll road. Every other toll road here has not done that. That was the only one, and I think part of it was because it was on an existing interstate corridor, Interstate 30. Originally it was Interstate 20, and then they moved that down south of the downtown for both Fort Worth and Dallas. But I think that was part of the reason that they turned it into an interstate, or let that portion be paid off, is because the rest of it was planned to be an interstate. But all the other ones are not, so they are just continuing to expand, which I guess at least they're expanding and improving the roads, because the toll roads that never expand, they never really fix themselves and still are toll roads, are unbelievably horrible. But at least these have generally a step up in road quality and maintenance over the state stuff and the federal stuff. But sorry for the sidetrack. That was just related because these were very prominent on that highway And I've seen a couple of these in person installed in other places, but they are not very common anymore. Sadly, a lot of the places that had them obviously got rid of them for, you know, shoe boxes or whatever, HPS Cobra heads or metal halide and all that stuff, or just mercury Cobra heads, depending on the time period, or LEDs. So yeah, I really am super happy that I have one of these. Now I need the OV-35 to complete the set. And it would be cool to have a 700 watt ballast outside of a Cobra head to run some 700 watt in this, but I still need to get a remote ballast for this. I might just build one, but it would be so cool to have a pole mounted can ballast to run. Let me give you a little close-up of the lens all lit up here. Sorry for the, of course, flicker pattern, but you can kind of see the neat design. This is such a neat fixture. And it's really well made, of course, because it's Westinghouse from this time period. Westinghouse only kind of fell in the very late 70s into the 80s, and even then they weren't the worst, but they weren't the way they were before. So yeah, I'm really fortunate to have one of these lights, and I'm definitely the only one to ever film a YouTube video of this, because really nobody else has these except for like maybe 3 or 4 other people. The other one that I rescued, I did sell to a friend, and so he has one, and that is Form 109 on YouTube, and Lighting Gallery. And then I think there's a couple other collectors with these, but like I said, it's a very small club of owners for these. So yeah, really neat. I'm glad I finally was able to make a video of this. Thank you again to my buddy Alex, who's Vintage Toilets Texas on YouTube. Like I said, I'll link his channel in the description whenever I upload this, so you can follow him too. But I do have 1000 watt ballast, but not a can, and I don't really like sitting a ballast core on its own open to use as a remote ballast. So I'm glad that he was able to bring this up here and let me use it for this video. That's the main reason I haven't hung this thing up yet. I mean, I hung up one, I think. I don't remember what we ran it on. I think we ran it with 400 watt, but it's cooler to do 1000 like it was meant for. So I believe it's pretty much full brightness. My camera memory card is kind of running out of battery, or out of space. I'm going to need to go make some more room, but I think I'll cut this video off now. I'll just shut the light off here with my Christmas lights timer. Oops, I hit the wrong button. There we go. So yeah, that's my Westinghouse HMA-60. Guess I forgot to mention the era these were made in. It was anywhere from 1950, I think, maybe 1949. I think these came out in the 50s. I think this was an addition later on to the lineup. I don't think they came out with this originally, like from 1946, because I'm not even sure 1000 watt lamps were even around at that point. I think they were a 50s development. I'll have to look into that, and if anybody knows, feel free to let me know in the comments. But I want to say these are made from 1950, 51, or 52 era. Definitely in that time period because of the slip fitter. I believe all the way to definitely at least 1959, potentially 1960. Because for a couple of years they made this and the OV-35 together, because one was designed for clear lamps, this, and the other one was designed to optimize the new deluxe white color corrected /C and /Y high output, or sorry, /W high output white, and then all the other phosphors they had at the time. So that's around the era this was made. Can't really pinpoint the exact year. I don't remember when the building that these came from was built in, but definitely somewhere in that era. So Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you again for watching. I will try to get more videos up very soon. Bye.